their religion is more true than this world. Okay? That's the power of the human imagination. You can imagine a world, and this world, as long as many of you are imagining it together, it's more true, more powerful, more real than this world. That's the power of religion, okay? What we call the religious imagination. And we'll see this over and over again in human history.
You've probably talked to a pet or a plant. You felt a sense of awe looking at a mountain, and for a moment you treated it not as an it, but as a you. Our modern world tells you that feeling isn't real, a sentimental glitch in your brain's software. But that glitch isn't the bug modern science will tell you it is. It's a feature. That glitch is the source code of the human imagination. In Animism, a successful hunt was not simply a conquest, but a gift, offered by the spirit of the animal, a sacrifice that demanded a creative response. The nightly fire was not simply a chemical reaction, but a storyteller, its flames filled with the faces of ancestors and forms of gods. This constant dialogue with a living world, the embrace of wonder, is what creates inspiration. The gratitude from the hunt becomes a song, a dance, a painting on a cave wall. The stories in the fire become our first myths. Inspiration wasn't something you had to search for, it was a constant conversation with the world. This worldview wasn't simply a superstition the way that we may simplistically see it now, it was a technology, a sophisticated operating system for the hardware of the human mind. We have since upgraded our software to a new system called materialism. But in the process, we may have forgotten how our original hardware actually works. This is the story of that forgotten technology. The story of a worldview that might just be more real and more accurate to our experience than the one we live today.
They have all these cave paintings, and what they celebrate is not themselves. What they celebrate are the animals, because it's the animals that give them life, that give them nourishment and meat.
So what does it mean to live in a world that is not a collection of objects, but a communion of subjects? It means your entire operating system for reality is different. The foundational error of the modern world was to dismiss this ancient worldview as animism, a primitive belief that spirits lived inside rocks and trees. This is a profound misunderstanding. A spirit is not in the tree is a spirit. This single shifted perception changes everything. It means the universe is not governed by the laws of physics, but by the laws of society. And the paramount law of any functioning society is reciprocity. You do not simply take from the world, you enter into a relationship. You ask, you negotiate.
We can kill animals to feed ourselves, but we must pay tribute to these animals before and after we kill them in order to maintain the harmony of the universe.
If you receive a gift, you offer one in return. This creates a world of constant, dynamic social interaction. This social reality is built on two other pillars, a shared soul and the logic of transformation. The animist mind does not see a hard line between a human, a jaguar, or a river spirit. They may have different bodies, different costumes, but they share a similar interior essence, a similar personhood. And if the body is just a costume, then it is logical that it can be changed. This is the root of all myths about shapeshifters and journeys into the spirit world. It is not magic, it's the physics of their universe. A universe that is fluid, intelligent, and deeply, radically social. This social view of the universe is an evolutionary strategy. Our brains are hardwired to see agency everywhere, because in a dangerous world it is always safer to mistake a boulder for a bear than a bear for a boulder. So this was our operating system. But who were its users? The hunter, the gatherer, and most mysterious of all, the shaman. Let's begin with the most misunderstood, the hunter. Our modern mind sees the hunter as a predator, a figure of simple red-toothed violence. This is, again, a profound misunderstanding. In a world full of persons, the hunter was not a predator. He was a diplomat. How do you provide for your family in a cosmos where every animal is a powerful, sentient being? You don't conquer, you negotiate. The core of the hunt was a social contract. You could not simply take the life of another person. It had to be offered as a gift. This is the principle of the gift of the hunt. The animal, as an autonomous being, had to be convinced to offer its body to you, and so the process was courtship, a seduction. A hunter had to prove his respect through ritual and song. He had to state his family's need, and the animal's behavior was read as its answer. If the gift was given, the hunter's obligations had only just begun. The act of reciprocity demanded a creative response, that the animal's body be treated with reverence. Its spirit had to be thanked, its bones often carefully arranged to ensure that its soul could be reborn, allowing the relationship to continue in the circle of life. This was more than tradition. This was the law of the universe. But sometimes, this horizontal peer-to-peer diplomacy wasn't enough. Sometimes the animals would simply vanish. This was a social breakdown and a broken contract. And for that, you had to appeal to a higher authority. See, many animist cultures believed in master or mother spirits, a great being that was the guardian of entire species, the master of the caribou, the mother of the fish. If this being was offended by the community's behavior, they would withhold their herds, and the people would starve. The hunter was the diplomat for the world you could see. But what happened when the problem wasn't with the deer in the forest, but with a sickness in the soul? What happened when you needed to negotiate with one of these gods? For that, you would need a different kind of specialist. You needed the shaman.
His duty and sacred task is to move in the timeless realm of the He, embrace the primordial powers, and harness and restore the energy of all creation. He is like a modern engineer who enters the depths of a nuclear reactor to renew the entire cosmic order. Okay?
This figure is the heart of the animist cosmos, and the absolute opposite of the priest who would later replace him. While the priest is a bureaucrat of the sacred who stands on high ground, receives orders from God, and relays them to the people, the animist is a technician of the sacred. They are a master of perspectives. Their secret was simple. If reality isn't working for you, try a different one. Through intense focus, drumming, chanting, dancing, the shaman could enter an altered state of consciousness, a trance where the free soul was believed to leave the body. It was the ultimate act of empathy. The shamans didn't simply guess what the jaguar was thinking. For a time, they became the jaguar. They saw the world from its eyes. This ability was the community's most powerful tool. Was a person sick? The shaman would journey into the spirit world to find which social contracts had been broken, which entity had been offended. Was the hunt failing? The shaman would travel to negotiate directly with the master of the animals. Their job was to restore balance to a social universe. And we have records of their journeys. Deep within the gut of the earth, in caves like Lascaux and Chauvet, the veil between worlds grew thin. In the flickering torchlight, surrounded by total crushing silence, the shaman would paint. And what they painted were not simply displays of art, but portals. The stunningly realistic animals that covered the cave walls were snapshots from another reality. They were the spirit persons the shaman encountered on their travels. Like faces in the fire, this was the world speaking to the community, and the shaman was the one who could translate. So the hunter managed the world outside, and the shaman managed the world within. But this worldview wasn't only for specialists. It was the air that every person breathed. It was the constant daily conversation with a world that was truly alive. To live as a hunter-gatherer was to be in a constant, dynamic dialogue with a world that was entirely and sometimes terrifyingly alive.
Animism is the belief that we all come from the mother goddess, from one source of life, including trees, animals, and humans. So every living being has a soul.
You did not simply see a river, you listened to it. Its gentle murmur was a sign of peace, while its roaring torrent was a warning. It was not merely H2O moving downhill due to gravity, but a powerful person with a mood, and you had to act accordingly. You did not just look at a mountain, you felt its gaze. This was not merely a pile of rock, but an ancestor, an elder, a king, Denali the Great One. Its presence demanded respect. To climb it was to enter its house, and when you're in the house of a god, you had better be a polite guest. You did not walk through a dead forest, but moved within a living community. A sudden silence from the birds was no random event, but a message. The snap of a twig was the forest noticing your presence. The trees were not timber, but silent, watchful people. A storm may not be a low-pressure system, but the thunderers, great spirits of the sky doing battle with underwater monsters. This was a family drama, the family drama of humanity played out in the heavens and on the earth through the bodies of the spirits that surrounded you. Every part of the world was a character in the story. Everything had a will, everything had a face. And this was the world we inhabited for hundreds of thousands of years. A world of conversation, a world of society, a world that was alive. But slowly, we began to forget how to listen. The forgetting was no accident. You see, the world did not go silent, but we did, because a new way of life required a new way of seeing. So what was the instrument that drew the first hard line in the dirt between us and it? The plow. A hunter may ask the forest for a gift, but a farmer demands a yield from a field. One is negotiation, the other is an extraction. To become a farmer, you must first believe the land is a thing you can own. The river is a resource you can divert. The animal is livestock to be managed. This world of persons had to die, so the world of property could be born. Does any of this feel familiar? It should. That vague sense of disconnection many of us feel from the natural world, that modern loneliness even when surrounded by millions, the feeling that the world has somehow been stripped of magic and meaning.
For most of human history, we were spiritual, okay? We were spiritual meaning like we believe like the world of spirits, our soul, it exists, okay? Today, the word we use is materialistic. Materialistic. And the idea of materialistic is this. If we cannot see it, okay, it's not real, okay? God can't be real because we can't find it. The soul can't be real because we can't measure it. Imagination can't be real because we don't know where it comes from. Okay, does that make sense? And obviously, okay, obviously, this idea of materialism is wrong. How can you say the imagination doesn't exist? But unfortunately, we have structured our society around this idea.
This is the psychological price of our upgrade. And yet the old hardware is still there. That feeling you get in a silent, old-growth forest. The instinct to speak to an animal. The awe you feel before a mountain. Scientists call this feeling biophilia, the innate human urge to connect with forms of life. But our ancestors, they just called it paying attention. It's our native language, the language of a living world. Materialism is a powerful tool, but it is a learned language, one excellent at describing objects. Animism is our mother tongue, and it is in many ways a more honest description of how we actually experience the world as subjects. We traded a universe of cousins for a universe of things, a world of conversation for a world of data. We gained a new kind of power, but we lost an ancient kind of wisdom.
For most of human history, we were like this. And even today, in a lot of cultures around the world, they're still like this. So now the question is, what changed? Why do we have war? Why do we have hierarchy? Why do we have patriarchy? Why are men superior to women? Why do some rich people have all the power? Okay? This clearly goes against this religion. And what I will show you starting next class is the beginning of a new religion and how this new religion that worships wealth, power, and war conquered everyone.